Good evening, Councillor Clucken.
Good evening, Alice. Councillor Glacken, can you hear me okay?
Oh.
Just checking, Councillor Glacken. Can you hear me? It's Kylie.
Yes, good evening.
Oh, terrific. Good evening and welcome to the Albury City Council meeting for this Monday, the 14th of November. We'll start with our opening affirmation and acknowledgement of country. We gather to represent the people of Albury who have entrusted us with this task. May our efforts be blessed with insight, wisdom and common sense. May our personal values give us honesty and courage to serve our community effectively and with respect for all. We'd also like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people as the traditional custodians of the land that we meet upon today and pay our respect to the elders past, present and future, for they hold the memories, culture, tradition and hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that contribute to our community. Item 2, recording and webcasting of meetings. A reminder that this council meeting is being webcast and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to being recorded and webcast. Please ensure that if and when you are speaking at this council meeting that you are respectful to other people and use appropriate language. Albury City accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this council meeting. An audio recording will be made for administrative purposes. Item CM3, conflict of interest declarations received and disclosure of political donations. Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Mayor King. No conflict of interest declarations received this evening. The disclosure of political donation requirements under the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, Section 10.4 requires a person submitting a planning application or a submission regarding a planning application to disclose any reportable political donation and or gifts to any local councillor or employee of the council. Reportable political donations include those of or above $1,000. The disclosure statement forms are available on the council's website. In dealing with development applications, councillors need to take into account specific planning matters contained in the Act. Accordingly, the provisions of Section 4.151 of that Act are set out in the Council Officer's report, detailing planning issues to be considered. The Local Government Act 1993, Section 375A, requires that a division be called whenever a motion for a planning decision is put at a meeting of the council. Planning decision means a decision made in the exercise of a function of council under the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act, including a decision relating to a development application, an environmental planning instrument, a development control plan, or a development contribution plan under that Act, but not including the making of an order under Division 9.3 of Part 9 of that Act. Thank you, Mayor King.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Item CM 4.1, apologies, there are none. CM 4.2, attendance by councillors at the meeting via audio visual link.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor King, I'd like to move that council receive, note and accept the attendance of councillors Cameron and Glacken via audio-visual link Zoom for the meeting.
Second the motion, Mayor King.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mayor King.
There you go.
Check again. Yeah. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. CM5, mayoral minute. There is no mayoral minute. CM6, action plans. Councillor Thurley.
Thank you, Mayor King. I move that the following action plans be received and noted. 1, actions complete for noting only. 2, actions awaiting response from external parties. 3, actions in progress, and 4, long-term issues more than 3 months.
Councillor Bowen.
Thanks, Mayor King. Happy to second that motion.
Councillor Thurley, do you wish to speak to the motion?
I have one question. The question is to the CEO, and just any further update on the issue with Mama. We received a briefing the other day, but is there anything further, and what really are the implications of the changes the Minister is looking at?
Mr. CEO.
Thanks for the question through you, Mayor King. So council's received approval for the formation of a company to be limited by guarantee called Mama Limited, and that is subject to a number of conditions. We've now formally received those conditions in writing, and we'll be consulting with the interim Mama board and the team at Mama and the key stakeholders, then coming back to council with a report outlining the scenarios and the steps from this point, and then seeking council's confirmation or otherwise to those next steps.
Councillor Thurley.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any speakers for or against, or questions? In that case, happy to put the motion, Councillor Thurley. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you. CM7, confirmation of minutes of the previous meetings. Councillor Betteridge.
You, through you, Mayor King, I'd like to move that the minutes of the council meeting held on Monday, the 31st of October, 2022 at 6:09 p.m. be confirmed.
Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor King. Happy to second the motion.
Councillor Betteridge, happy to put the motion.
Yes, I am.
Unless there's any other comments. Put the motion. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. CM8, reports from community forums. There are none. CM9, notices of motion, notices of rescission. There are none. CM10, presentations and deputations. There are none. CM11, reports or minutes of committees and working parties. There are none. CM12, documents for sealing. Councillor Bettridge.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor King, I'd like to move that council authorises its seal to be affixed to the documents outlined below in the presence of two signatories authorised to affix the seal pursuant to Regulation 400 of the Local Government (General Regulation 2005) and the council seal and management of legal documents and advice procedure. A. Albury City Council lease to Greater Hume Council 1132 Burrows Road, Lavington, family daycare facility for a 5-year term with 5-year option commencing 1st November 2022 in brackets FIL 22/01454.
Councillor Thurley.
Second the motion, Mayor King.
Councillor Bettridge, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Councillors, any speakers for or against? In that case, happy to put the motion. Those for, those against? The motion is carried. Thanks, councillors. CM13, officers' reports for consideration. CM13.1, assessment of review of determination of development application 10.2021.38689.2, 3-lot subdivision at 823 Logan Road, Glenroy. Councillor Thurley.
Can I have the other motion on the board, please? Okay. Thank you. I move that Council A note the contents of this report, and B, upon undertaking review of determination of development application 10.2021.3869.1, I better look this way, to determine to reaffirm the previous determination of development application 10.2021.38689.1 on 2nd of February 2022, being a refusal to grant consent for the 3-lot Torrens-sided subdivision at Lot 1 DP 1191125, 823 Logan Road, Glenroy, for the following reasons. 1, the application does not satisfy Part 7.6 of Albury Local Environment Plan 2010 development. Consent must not be granted to development unless the consent authority is satisfied that services that are essential for the proposed development are available, or that adequate arrangements have been made to make them available when required, and is therefore contrary to the provisions of Section 415(1)(a)(1) of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979. 2, the application does not comply with the aims of the Albury Local Environmental Plan 2010, established in Part 1.2, to give effect to the desired outcomes, principles and actions contained in the Council's adopted strategies and policy documents, and to promote sustainable urban development by providing for efficient management of urban growth and resource utilisation, and is therefore contrary to the provisions of Section 415(1)(a)(1) of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979. 3, the application does not comply with objectives of Part 10, Division B of Albury Development Control Plan 2010 to promote residential subdivision that is consistent with or embellishes the character of Albury's established and planned residential areas, nor does it ensure adequate provision is made for current and future utility infrastructure needs, and is therefore contrary to the provisions of Section 415(a)(3) of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979. 4, the application does not meet the provisions for suspension of covenants, agreements and instruments established in Part 1.9(a) of Albury Local Environmental Plan 2010, and is therefore contrary to the provisions of Section 415(1)(a)(1 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979. 5, Council is not satisfied that the site is suitable for development in the manner proposed, including on-site sewage disposal on lots of approximately 4,000 square metres in area, and is therefore contrary to the provisions of section 415(1)(c) of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979.
Councillor Edwards.
Happy to second the motion, Mayor King.
Councillor Thurley, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Mayor King, I think the motion that I've just read out is very, very comprehensive, and the reasons set out are very clear. And so I don't think I have anything further to add.
Questions? Councillor Bowen.
Thank you, Mayor King. Thank you. Just like to ask a question to the appropriate member of staff, if I may. Just what is the vision for the zoning and density around the LEP, and when and how will this be reviewed so that maybe residents can have an input to what the area might look like in the future?
Mr. Christie.
Thank you for the question, and for you, Mayor King. So the current zoning of the site is R1 general residential. So across Albury, that's a minimum of 450 square metres for lot size. Obviously, lot sizes may vary above that, depending upon site topographics and other site conditions that make it relevant, but it does consider more suburban style development with our R1 general residential zone. So that's the current vision. It has been that way and has been zoned that way for at least the last 20 plus years. Now, in regards to, I guess, the future opportunities for residents to be able to influence that or council be able to review that, there are a variety of mechanisms. Probably the most appropriate mechanism would be the upcoming review of the Albury Local Environmental Plan, which will occur in a few years' time. And then that'll be an opportunity for council to review things such as zonings, but also the minimum lot sizes and see what's appropriate for areas.
Follow up, Councillor Bowen.
Thank you. And through just a follow-up question, if I may. So can you give me can we get a specific sort of time frame? A couple of years? Are we talking 2? Are we talking 3? Are we talking for the review of the LEP?
Mr. Christie.
Yep, thank you for the question, and for you, Mayor King. So at this particular stage, I would say it would be in that 3 to 4 year time bracket. There's obviously a number of important reviews and strategies council want to do, such as the upcoming review of the Faguna-Warringah Precinct Structure Plan, which may recommend some zoning changes and other similar strategies. So it would be best to be done post those. So anticipate to be in that 3 to 4 year time frame.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any speakers for or against, or questions, councillors? Councillor Thurley, do you wish to sum up debate at all? Happy to put the motion. This is in division, being a development application. So those for: Councillor Cameron, Councillor Glacken, Councillor Thurley, Councillor Callaghan, Councillor Edwards, Councillor Bowen, Councillor King, Councillor Betteridge, Councillor Baker. There are none against. The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Item CM 13.2, Draft Albury Local Housing Strategy. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor King. I would like to move that the council A, receives and endorses the draft local housing strategy, and B, places the draft local housing strategy on public exhibition for a minimum of 42 days, and C, if no submissions are received through the public exhibition process, that the draft local housing strategy be adopted as the final version.
Councillor Edwards.
Happy to second the motion, Mayor King.
Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor King. The draft is an opportunity for communities to seek feedback on what we know as a national housing crisis and their position on local issues and strategies for affordable housing and rental properties. It is important as a council that we take a proactive approach when progressing projects that provide housing solutions, such as the ability to develop a contributions plan through the Department of Planning and Environment. This is also timely to audit council and government-owned land for the development of affordable housing. I would also like to bring to attention and welcome ideas on how we can better support our community to navigate the development application process that is known as the planning portal, which is widely known to be cumbersome and difficult to use. As Albury City Council aims to support residents to apply for planning permits and provide timely feedback. We are aiming to offer a red carpet experience and support the citizens to build the homes that are required for the future prosperity of Albury. So encourage people to have a say, to share their ideas and strategies around possible solutions in regards to the draft. Thank you, Mayor King.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Speaker 4, Councillor Thurley.
Thank you, Mayor King, and I'd echo most of the comments there that Councillor Callaghan made. It is a nationwide problem, and I'm frankly a bit tired of hearing announcement after announcement, but no action following. And I think this council needs, by this motion and the document that we're putting out, to send a clear message to government that we need to work together and they need to work with local government to get this thing moving. State government's not going to be able to do this by itself. We need appropriate zoning of land. We need appropriate developer fees and contributions and so on, and it needs to happen soon. There's plenty of evidence around Albury that our housing strategy has been neglected for a very long time. Government housing is a disgrace and it needs to be fixed soon.
Speaker 4, Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor King. The importance of this strategy can't be understated. Our community crying out for housing, particularly sustainable, accessible, connected and affordable housing. Our community wants real solutions to this crisis and they deserve real action in this space. This strategy includes some important areas of focus for our advocacy and also notably in action to explore the option of an affordable housing contribution scheme under the New South Wales State Environmental Planning Policy for Housing 2021. A scheme would set out how, where and at what rate development contributions would be collected by council for affordable housing. For example, contributions could be in-kind land or dedicated dwellings, or money contributions to support community housing providers to build affordable housing in our city. The establishment of such a scheme is both encouraged and supported by the New South Wales State Government. The draft strategy calls for a modest scheme to be investigated and it has been prioritised as low. However, my view is that a robust scheme would mean tangible outcomes for our community, and this should be on the top of our priority list. And I look forward to hearing what our community has to say on this and the strategy in general. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Any other speakers for or against? Councillor Callaghan, do you wish to sum up?
Thank you, Mayor King. I just would like to implore the community to have their say and have their voices heard and to share their ideas as a collective efficacy and powering people. It's important and it's a very important issue. So have your say. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Callaghan. We'll put the motion. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. CM 13.3, Draft Les O'Brien Athletics Precinct Master Plan. Councillor Betteridge.
You, through Mayor King, I'd like to move that Council A, receives and endorses the draft Les O'Brien Athletics Precinct Master Plan. B, places the draft Les O'Brien Athletics Precinct Master Plan on public exhibition for a minimum of 28 days. And C, if no submissions seeking amendments are received through the public exhibition process, the draft Les O'Brien Athletics Precinct Master Plan will be adopted as the final version.
Councillor Bowen. Councillor Bowen.
Thank you, Mayor King, and happy to second that motion. Thank you.
Councillor Betteridge, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Just briefly, thank you, Mayor. The Les O'Brien Athletics Precinct is an important piece of sporting infrastructure that this master plan recognises and will improve and keep pace with what the user groups see as essential upgrades. And I look forward to reading the submissions if they are placed forward to see what general members of the community who use this area think. I think it's a very good master plan. I think it's been well thought out through the user groups have had input and staff are to be applauded for this. And I look forward to seeing the final version. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Betteridge. Any other speakers for or against? Councillor Betteridge, happy to put the motion. Those for? Those against? Motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. CM 13.4, Community and Cultural Grants, Round 1. Councillor Bowen.
Thank you, Mayor King. I'd like to move that Council A receives and notes the report and B endorses. Oh, may I have the alternative motion? Thank you. My apologies. Thank you. I'll start that again. I'd like to move that Council A receives and notes the report and B endorses the recommended 2022/2023 Community and Cultural Grant Program, Round 1, allocations as follows. 1, Judith Laneridge, Step Out Against Violence for an amount of $3,000. 2, Dr. Amy Chan, The Happy Mask Show for an amount of $3,000. 3, Mrs. Erica Okamura, Community Movement Connections and multicultural dance exchange, $3,000 with conditions. Number 4, Road Safety Education Limited, Road Safety Education for Young Albury City LGA drivers for an amount of $3,000. Number 5, the Goona Public School Parents and Citizens Association, PNC in brackets, / the Thagoona Public School Clean Up Australia Day for an amount of $437.50. Number 6, Project Bantu Cultural Institute Capoeira Community Workshop for an amount of $3,000. Item number 7, Murray River Fine Music Student Workshops and Professional Concerts Weekend for an amount of $3,000. And number 8, Albury and Border Rescue Squad VRA Rescue New South Wales to lighten the load of the huge amount of work they've been doing for an amount of $3,000.
Councillor Thurley.
I'll second the motion, Mayor King.
Councillor Bowen, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor King. I've asked to have number 8, the VRA, added into the motion. It was undersubscribed, and we had a portion left over that was going to go to round 2 of the funding. But noting that the VRA request that they fully fund their $3,000 amount, is the Albury Border Rescue Squad have been instrumental with their support to our community for decades, and especially with the current floods at this moment. So they're looking to apply those funds to acquire a stretcher trolley to assist carrying people out from steep areas when they're injured. And this project aims to reduce the number of rescue volunteers needed to carry injured patients from 4 to only 2. And it also minimised the risk of injuries to rescue volunteers and patients using a single wheelchair trolley to carry injured patients out of bushland of the hills surrounding Albury. So I just feel that locally we owe a huge debt to a number of the SES and VRA and all emergency services. Being a volunteer firefighter myself, understand how difficult it is to get equipment.
Thank you, Councillor Bowen. Any other speakers for or against? Happy to put the motion, or do you wish to sum up?
Happy to put the motion.
Okay, we'll put the motion. Councillors, those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Item CM 13.5, Albury Preschool Community Fund request. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor King. I move that Council approves the allocation of $450,000 in community fund financial assistance to the Albury Preschool to support the preschool expansion project in the form of $250,000 cash funding in 2023-24 and a $200,000 10-year interest-free loan in 2024-25.
Councillor Bowen.
I'd like to second that motion.
Councillor Edwards, do you wish to open debate?
Just to say that this funding helps to support the larger project that the preschool have running together with their $1.8 million funding from the state government. And I'm very proud to support this funding that is crucial and will help address the growing need for quality early childhood education in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Any other speakers for or against? Happy to put the motion, Councillor Edwards, or did you wish to sum up? Happy to put the motion. Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. CM 14, officers' reports for noting. There are none. CM 15, delegates' reports for noting. There are none. CM 16, notice of urgent business. Councillor Thurley, first up.
I wish this were called general business rather than urgent, but we ran an event here in Albury just a couple of weeks ago, the Chamber Music Festival, and it was so popular that they had to run 2 sessions, and they estimate that they brought at least $100,000 into the community that weekend. And so I'd like to pay a tribute to, first of all, Peter McLeod Miller for providing the venues for the concert, and also to the musical directors, Sally Ann Russell and Mario Dominic. It was a really interesting and enjoyable festival, and I look forward to seeing it again next year in November. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thurley. No other items, councillors? I just wondered if we could, Mr. CEO, through you, get an update on storm events from the weekend.
Certainly, Mr. Ferris.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Mayor King. Yeah, the storms, so the challenging environment continues with on the weekend. Again, we've had those high intensity storms, a lot of rainfall over a short period. That coupled with a higher river level has made it really challenging. So emergency procedures have been enacted, and I must say that the SES and VRA and support agencies are doing a magnificent job in looking after our community. The weekend, the storm itself on the weekend, so our systems are handling it quite well, given the circumstances. Obviously, with those short burst storms, what happens is the underground system fills up very quickly. It pools and then will follow the natural topography. And in some cases, that is causing some damage to private property, albeit over the weekend, there was minimal inundation into either dwellings or structures. So we had a lot of pooling on our road system, which that's what it's intended to do until the water can get away. In particular, we had Wodonga Place that had significant short-term flooding, which went into a number of nearby properties into their properties as well. That was primarily due to some pumps. So we have strategically located pumps across our city, and in particular in South Albury, where a lot of the stormwater flows to. And we had a standby pump there that we had to enact in Mudgers Canal to take away that excess water that was across Wodonga Place at the time. The river levels, as you've seen in the press, they're as high as or comparable to river levels back in the 1970s. So they peaked at 5.52 yesterday. Today they've dropped a bit down to about 5.45. So we've seen some reduction in discharges from the dam from Lake Hume. It was discharging 95,000 megalitres a day over the weekend and leading up to the weekend to provide some airspace. It's now dropped back to 65,000 today, which will accommodate that extra flow that will be coming out of the Koowa River, which is unregulated. So we're expecting the river levels to stay about the same for this week. Fortunately, there's no forecast of similar rainfalls for this week, so we might get a little bit of relief this week, and we can work on from there. Doctors Point, so we've had a couple of areas. So Doctors Point, as you're aware, has been isolated. The 46 homes there. Unfortunately, the level of the water across the road and the condition of the road has meant that we've had to move to stage 4 there, which is total closure. We are working with SES about emergency services in there. So garbage collection will happen there tomorrow. We're working with the residents there about food supplies if this goes on for much longer. If the levels continue to drop, there'll be every opportunity where we'll be able to allow access back through there during limited times as per our staging. We'll just have to work around some of the deterioration of the existing pavement underneath at the moment. We've also had 6 properties that are outside the levee area, predominantly in South Albury, that were under evacuation notices on the weekend. So we've seen SES do door knocks and SMS and talk to those residents about their options, encourage them to relocate, albeit I don't believe that any had inundation within the dwellings. So that's a little bit of a snapshot of where we're at the moment. It's very much a day by day. We're working with the emergency teams, meeting daily, and continuing to push the message out around safety around water.
Thank you, Mr. Ferris. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mayor King. This is also not urgent, but important nonetheless. I'd also like to highlight an event that happened in QE2 Square last week. It was through a lot of consultation and a lot of hard effort that this was able to come to fruition. So it was the launch of the Innovate Reconciliation Action Plan at QE2 Square. I look forward to being part of a progressive community and actioning positive outcomes for our Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander communities. So it was a wonderful event, and the RAP, the Innovate RAP, is actually online for public exhibition and viewing. So you should be very proud of the hard work and effort of our council members in getting that done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Mayor King. And speaking of hard work and commitment, can I, in support of Mr. Ferris's comments, also acknowledge the great work of our local emergency management team, and our internal and external teams that have been responding really quickly to customer requests, and we've got over 1,000 of those for a range of reasons, some related to flood and stormwater. They've been really responsive at all hours of the day and night, and really wanting to acknowledge their great work in support of the great work that the lead agencies are doing, because we can't do it like that in that fashion without working together. So wanted to publicly acknowledge our teams on that basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Thank you, councillors. CM 17, confidential matters. Councillor Thurley.
Thank you, Mayor King. I move that council move into confidential session to discuss items CM 17.1 and 17.2. They are confidential, exclusive of press or public, on the grounds that the matters and information are the following: commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, 1, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it, and 2, the matters and information are commercial. It's the same one. So the same reasoning applies to both matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bowen.
I'll second that motion, Mayor King.
Thank you, Councillor Bowen. Councillors, are there any statements or submissions from the public regarding the reasons as identified for confidential items CM 17.1 and CM 17.2? There are none received. Councillors, do you wish to proceed with the motion to move into confidential? Those for? Those against? The motion is carried. We close the council for 6:35 p.m. And a reminder, the motion to move into confidential has now been carried. For our live stream viewers, we will now say goodbye. You can find the outcome of this confidential session in the meeting minutes, which are published on the Albury City website within 2 business days. Thank you, gallery. We just need to clear the chamber for this item.